Hello children, I am very happy to know that you have liked my work on being neighborly, the very first prose in your 11th English syllabus. Yes dear, I am very happy to know that you have liked the explanation of three poems, the three poems in your section 2, Cherry Tree, The Sower, and There is Another Sky. I am very happy to know that my work has benefited you. Icebreakers and brainstorming activities of first prose being neighborly and second prose on to the summit we reach the top. Children, I really would love to work for you more and I would like to express my sincere thanks and gratitude towards you for your love and your Thanksgiving messages and your good wishes showered on me. Children, I too would like to express my best wishes for all of you. Have a good journey in your higher secondary section. Well, I made already one video on prose number 2, On to the Summit We Reach the Top. I just taught you there how to read the lines with correct pronunciation and style of reading. I have taught you there, but I would love to explain the story, the prose today. Prose number 2, On to the Summit We Reach the Top, written by Tenzing Norgay. Tenzing Norgay, a famous mountaineer who is known to reach the summit of Mount Everest, and which he accomplished with Edmund Hillary on 29th May 1953. Okay, it is an adventurous journey, so we shall just have our journey towards On to the Summit We Reach the Top while reading. Okay, are you ready children? On to the summit we reach the top. Summit. What is summit children? Summit is the highest point of a hill or mountain. So I am going to read, open at page number 16. When we left Camp 9 on Friday morning, I was determined to get to the top on this day. That morning I remember thinking I was to get to the top even if I die. What a spirit of this mountaineer Tenzing Norgay. He ignores his death and he just aspires for achieving success, reaching the top of the mountain, Mount Everest. I was not afraid to die that day. He ignored death even, and he did not fear death. He wanted to reach to his goal, reaching the top of the Mount Everest. We set out early. Set out means they started their journey early and all the way from Camp 9 to the peak, the top. We alternated, changed several places from Camp 9 to the top of the mountain. Second paragraph, I would take the lead and then Hillary. He was the leader of the expedition. What is expedition children? An organized journey with a particular purpose. And then Hillary was his companion. And the man who follows when climbing has a difficult job both in climbing up and climbing down. Tenzing is telling climbing up and climbing down the mountain, both are very difficult jobs. He is the anchor. He was the anchor and he was giving the safety and security to the follower. The man going in the lead cuts the steps and breaks the way. In my pocket, I had 4 flags. Third paragraph, in my pocket I had 4 flags. When we were still at Camp 4, Colonel Hunt gave me 3 flags, those of Britain, the United Nations and Nepal. He charged me with the duty of planting them on the top of the world. On the top of the world. What is the top of the world? The top of Mount Everest. The highest peak of the mountain. Okay, in my pocket I had 4 flags, and when we were still at Camp 4, Colonel Hunt gave me 3 flags. He was given by Colonel Hunt 3 flags of Britain, United Nations and Nepal, and how it became 4 then, because we shall come to know later on. Let's proceed on. Next paragraph. These 3 flags are in Yorkshire, and he said, who said? Who said? Colonel Hunt said, when you and Hillary reach the top, put them at the peak, and I am sure that you and Hillary are going to do it. And you are going to do it. It's an inspirational sentence that he was motivating these 2 mountaineers that you will do it. You will reach the top of the mountain and carry these 3 flags. I told Colonel Hunt that I was carrying the Indian flag with me. Tenzing was carrying Indian flag also with him in his pocket, and I would like to be on the top with the other flags. Tenzing Norgay wanted to plant West 4 flags along with that 3 flags, Indian flag also he carried with him. And I had to ask Colonel Hunt's permission in his capacity as leader of the expedition. Since he was the leader of the expedition, he just took permission of Colonel Hunt as a mark of respect. Indian flag, big dark writing is there, Indian flag. Colonel Hunt said, by all means, I am glad to know that you brought an Indian flag. By all means, I am glad to know that you brought an Indian flag. He expressed his happiness to know that Tenzing Norgay has carried Indian flag also. Next para. After 1 hour of steady going, we cut across from the south face and started up the west side, where we had to pass up a steep line of rocks. Here is a description of their journey, that they cut across from the south face and started up the west side, where we had to pass up a steep line of rocks, hard line of rocks. This was slow and difficult journey it was, because they had to take the caution of their lives also. Once we had cleared this, there was nothing barring our way to top. Just they came to the less risky road, less risky path, and there was nothing much barring means causing difficulty or causing trouble to them, causing hardships to them, causing barriers to them. But a snow-covered incline, that is a kind of sloping less and less as it neared the top, slanting up and down rocks were there. So that was also difficult for them to walk forward. Next para. These last 60 or 70 feet up the top were not very dangerous, but we kept up the same steady pace. We had the steady pace, the determined pace, the speed of walk we had, and pace means the speed of walk, and we reached the small flattened summit almost together. Flattened summit was just flat type, and they reached the small and flat type summit, the top of the mountain, almost together, both almost reached together. During the last 50 feet from the peak, Hillary and I were moving about 20 feet apart. Apart means separated by distance, only 20 feet distance they had, and we were tied together with a rope. They were tied together with a rope for the cause of security. Most of the time the rope was loose just to help them to adjust, but when we went over dangerous ground, we drew it taut means stressed tightly when there was a dangerous ground to bring them close. This rope was a symbol. Actually, this is a symbolic rope. It tied us together. It brought their unity also, along with safety, security. One could not move without the other. That is the unity of the journey. And we were not 2 individuals but a team. Both were standing for the unity as a team, and they were not different individuals at all. Okay. Next para. I have been asked many times who was first to climb up the top of the mountain. When we were within reach of the summit, I did not think of who was going to be first. There was no competitive attitude between the two, that who is going to be the first. It was not a running race. I am sure that Hillary was not thinking that. Hillary too did not have this attitude in mind that who will climb up the top, who will go to the top first. Climbing takes all your attention. Climbing takes all your attention. It needs attention. It needs the security, and you have many more important worries to safeguard your life, to bring the glory of your country. So there are many other causes to worry. So who will go to the top at first? That was not the intention of these two mountaineers. Next para. What does it matter whether I reach the top first or Hillary? What does it matter whether I reach the top first or Hillary? See how broad-minded mountaineer he was. What does it matter? It does not matter even if I reach the top first or if Hillary reaches the top first. Our main thought was that both of us reach the top. Main intention was that we both will reach the top. We had to reach the top, and one could not do it alone, and one could not go there alone. One needs another's support, another's attention, another's inspiration, another's assistance, help. Next para. If there had been a difference of 1000 feet between us, then one could make the claim that he was first. Had there been 1000 feet distance, the 1000 feet separation from each other, then one could claim that he was first, but we had only 20 feet distance. But even then, only the man behind him could confirm the distance between the two of them. But who was in the distance could understand the distance between two mountaineers, but they were in the parallel situation of walking. A very short distance difference they had. Page number 18, the first para of page number 18. When you reached Kathmandu, we discovered that a controversy had arisen among the people. Controversy, a long public disagreement or heated discussion. We talked it over, and Hillary and Colonel Hunt and we talked over this controversy, the argument. We agreed that all the talk was childish. They ignored the people's criticism and any their wish or their desire, people's wish in the negative way, but they took the criticism in the positive way, and they just did not pay attention to their any kind of argument or heated discussion. Next para. So we made a pact. What is pact, children? A formal agreement between individuals or parties, and each of us signed it in the office of the Prime Minister of Nepal. Each one signed his own statement. I have a copy of Hillary's statement, and which I carry in my pocket. It reads, Kathmandu, June 22, 1953. On May 29, Tenzing Sherpa and I left our high camp on Mount Everest for our attempt on the summit. As we climbed upwards to the south summit, first one and then the other would take a turn at leading. We crossed over the south summit and moved along the summit ridge. Ridge means a long narrow piece of raised land, and we reached the summit almost together. We embraced each other, we hugged each other, overjoyed we were at our success. And then I took photograph of Tenzing holding aloft means up into the air, the flags of Great Britain, Nepal, United Nations and India, signed E.P. Hillary. There is another paper like this in English signed by me. Thus, we will not take part in any controversy. We shall not take part in any controversy that who climbed up first, who reached the top first, like this, any controversy, any agreement, any disagreement. As the statement says, Hillary and I embraced. When we reached the top, we did as well as our bulky equipment would let us. We hugged each other. So far, our bulky means large equipments, that necessary machines or apparatus or equipment were with us. We were very heavy, but we hugged each other as much as we could, coming close to each other. I remember saying to him, we have done it. Yes, we have done it. That means we have achieved our success. We have reached our goal. But we could not hear because we had our oxygen mask on. We could not hear the inspirational sentence that we have done it just because we had to wear oxygen mask on our face. Next, bold type. Two words are there. First thought. After reaching the summit of mountain, the top of mountain, what was the first thought of Tenzing Norgay? My first thought on reaching the top was a sense of gratitude to God, sense of gratitude, the sense of gratefulness to God, that after having failed 6 times, he had blessed me with fulfillment of this desire I had held so long. I had held so long means I cherished this desire, this wish I had to reach the top of Mount Everest, and I failed 6 times before this attempt, and I am successful today. So I expressed my sincere gratitude and I thanked God because of bringing success in my life. Next para, I placed on the summit the offerings to God that I had carried with me. I placed on the summit, on the top of Mount Everest, I placed the offerings to God, offerings, my puja for God I placed there. This is an accord with my religion. Accord means an agreement, just a system of his religion, that after you achieve the success, you offer something to God as a mark of respect and regard God in this way. Remember God, express your thankfulness. And this is in accord with my religion. Both my wife and I are Buddhists, and I could not kneel because of my clothes and equipment. I was heavy in my appearance because of my clothes and equipments, so I could not kneel down remembering God. But I offered a silent prayer in my heart. I offered my silent prayer. From my silent prayer means with lots of feeling of reverence for God. I expressed my silent prayer. I expressed my gratefulness. I offered my thanks, and I express my reverence for God for bringing success in my life, for my country, for the world. The offerings were biscuits. What were the offerings? Those were biscuits, candy, and a little blue pencil. The youngest daughter, his youngest daughter, name is Nima, had given me the pencil before I left home. She asked me to put it on the top of the mountain as her offering. Nima wished her father, Tenzing Norgay, by giving a pencil, and requested, Papa, you please place it after reaching the top of the mountain as my offering to God. It was an ordinary blue pencil, but it was a token of love for God. Not even a long one, it was a small pencil, but it was one of her prized possessions. He was awarded this pencil, and from that joyful part of her life, she gifted me that pencil to offer God after I reached the mountain, and I fulfilled her wish. Next para, page number 19. As I put it down, I pointed it out to Hilary, and he gave me a big smile, showing that he understood. Hilary was my companion. Hilary also understood the sentiment of my small daughter, and he just smiled with happiness, knowing that I placed the offerings, what was given by my daughter and what I wish to offer also. Next para. Then I got out the flags which I had on piece of string about 4 feet long. I fastened one end to my ice axe, and Hilary took pictures as I held it up. I fixed or held one end to my ice axe, and Hilary took pictures as I held it up. Next, as I had to bring my ice axe down with me, I buried one end of the string in the ice on the top and the other in snow on the slope down below. When we left, they were lying flat against the summit. As I had to bring my ice axe, down with me because I had to climb down. What is ice axe job? Ice axe cuts the ice and clears the path to climb up and down. So he had to take back the ice axe. just because he had to climb down the ground. What he did, that the other in snow on the slope down below, when we left, they were lying flat. Which were they? The flag. 4 flags were lying flat against the summit. Against the summit, the flags were flags were lying, and they had to come back, and after the victory they were trying to come down, climbing down. While climbing down, they felt very thirsty. I was very thirsty. I took out a water tumbler. What is water tumbler? A drinking glass for a drink. But found the water in the metal container had frozen. Frozen means it has become very hard. It has turned into ice. The metal container what he was carrying. So I could not quench my thirst, could not satisfy his thirst, and I ate some biscuits and I offered some to Hilary. They both ate some biscuits just to quench their thirst because they were very hungry also, and they could not drink water because water turned into ice. Next paragraph. I was wearing a red scarf which my great friend Lambert, leader of the 1952 Swiss expedition, had given me last year. He was gifted a scarf, red colored scarf, by the Swiss expedition leader, his great friend Lambert, and he just used that to tie up. He tied it up around his neck and shoulder just to avoid the cold. And it was just a year ago on May 28th, when we were standing at 28,215 feet, that he gave me the scarf, a piece of cloth for warmth. And he, as a token of love, he carried it with him, and it was tied up on and around his neck, shoulder, ears, to prevent the cold. And it was his expression of love for his friend also. I wore it all the way up the mountain from Darjeeling, and as I stood at the top, I remembered him. Who did he remember? The friend Lambert. He remembered and felt that he was with me. He felt that his presence in him, in front of him. I felt absolutely fit at the summit. I was very fine. At the summit, on the top of the mountain. My mind was absolutely clear. His mind was absolutely clear. And clear means he was in pure mind, joyful mind, that he did something, he achieved something in his life. I did not feel tired. I felt exhilarated. Exhilarated means I felt very happy and excited after achieving this success. It was a very clear sensation. Sensation means a feeling which came on his body. Below, next para, below, down, all the hills and mountains looked like gods and goddesses to me. See the feeling of the successful achiever, that he thought that when he saw below, the down part, all the hills and mountains looked like gods and goddesses to me. The plains means the large area, flat land below looked like so many broken pieces of the map. It looked like the broken pieces of the map, the plains, when from the top he was looking down. Next paragraph. 2 or 3 people could stand there on the roof of the world. If you cut ice 20 or 30 feet below the top, there was enough flat square for 2 people to sleep. He was describing, while climbing down, the position of the rocks, the mountains. You could pitch one tent there. The location also he was describing. The summit is flat on one side and steep on the other. One side the summit was flat, one side the summit was steep. There is snow on the northern side, rocks on the south, and east, and snowy rock on the west. This is all description of that summit. And we stayed on the top a little more than 15 minutes. They were staying there on the top of the mountain. We were lucky that there was no gale. Gale means strong wind on it, and it would have swept us off. Had there been strong wind, that wind could have swept them off, would just remove them from the top of the mountain. But it was a very gentle atmosphere at that time. My next thought was how to get down safely. He was planning how to get down safely as he has reached safely, he has to get down safely. He was thinking of that. Next, page 20, first paragraph on the descent. Descent means an action of coming down from the summit. I was walking behind Hillary. I was following him and holding the rope tightly, and my determination was to make sure he descended safely. See the person's attitude, Tenzing Norgay. While getting down, first he requested Hillary to stay in the front so that he can see his safety while descending, while coming down, okay, from the mountain. I must say that the climb down was more difficult and dangerous. I must say he is admitting that climbing down is more difficult and dangerous than climbing up the mountain. If you slip down, you would go into Kangshung Glacier, and there would be no trace left of you. What is a glacier, children? A large mass of ice formed by snow or mountain. Okay, so slipping will cause dangerous to their lives, so they have to be very alert, they had to be very cautious, they had to take care of their safety, security of lives also while climbing down. Next, black bold, three words are there. Dark writing, more caution needed. Of course, it took less time, climbing down took less time, but you needed more hushiyar, means caution. When I reached Camp 9, my first thought was, thank God we have been spared an accident. We have been spared means we have been protected from an accident. No accident took place. So thank God that God saved our life. And if up to now there have been no accidents, I hope that till now there are no accident we met with. So it is all because of grace of God, because of because of the blessings of God, that we are still safe, even though we came across such hazardous journey, such dangerous journey. I hope there will be none in future. Who will meet with accident. He prayed for others that whosoever will climb up, nobody should meet with any kind of accident, any sort of hazardous trouble or difficulty. I had always prayed to God and He had saved me. I always prayed God for safe journey, and God has saved our lives. Next paragraph, at Camp 9, Hillary and I were in no mood for any talking. Why? Because they are very tired at the time, and they were thrilled also with enjoyment, so they had no mood of talking at the time. We just attended to our own things. They were taking care of their own things. We stayed there about half an hour. They stayed at Camp 9 for half an hour. We boiled some snow to make lemon water and drank it just to restore the energy. They drank some lemon water in hot water. And hot water, how they boil some snow and they made lemon water and drank it. When we left, we took only our sleeping bags and left everything. They left everything else behind in the tent at Camp 9 and took only sleeping bags. Was an easier job because they need not have to carry heavy things at that time, so they just took their sleeping bag. Just above Camp 8, where the others could see us, others were waiting for their return, and they were waiting for them to welcome them. I raised my arm with my thumb up. I raised my arm with the victory sign, thumb. He put his thumb up and raised his arm, and CWF, Nuisi and WG, Louis saw us first, and their faces flashed with joy. They were so happy, and their faces were bright to see us, those who were waiting for our return. In this way, I was able to tell them of our success. In this way, I told them about our success. As we got nearer to Camp 8, Louis came to meet us and came up about 300 feet with tea and coffee. Louis came to welcome us with tea and coffee. Last paragraph, page number 20. Another 50 feet down, we met Noisy, who brought us more tea. Noisy brought more tea for us. This tea smelled kerosene. This tea smelled kerosene. Apparently, it had been made in a hurry. Perhaps it was made in a hurry to meet us on time, and somehow some kerosene got into the welcome cup. um, you know, the tea had kerosene smell, but I thought since the gentleman had taken so much trouble to bring it, I was going to enjoy it, whatever the smell. So Tenzing Norgay told that even though the welcome tea was smelling, it had kerosene smell, but he must enjoy it, he must receive it, he must take this tea just because it was a mark of love, a mark of respect, a mark of a token of love on that Noise's part, and he must respect his sentiment and he must take it. Okay, children, this is written by Tenzing Norgay, his real life experience, and I hope you have enjoyed my explanation. Till then, bye.